Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Bird. It's the Kirk and Bird Show. And we're back in the 757. We're back in our home stomping ground for this episode. We are blessed to have with us Coach Red of the 757 Colts Youth Football Organization. Coach is one of the founders. He's a coach, and he's originally from that Chesapeake 757, other side of the water area, having played at Oscar Smith. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you for having
me. Coach, before we get too far in this, I gotta tell you, youth sports is my thing, bro. Like I have been active in coaching youth sports before I even had kids, but over the last maybe 20 years, I have 3 kids. And so I love it. I've coached on other levels, but youth, football, track, basketball, even my daughter playing soccer. I love that because what people don't understand is that's the foundation. That's where you can actually start to learn the game and love it. So I love what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I said a little bit, but can you start out telling me like where you're from? You're from, it sounds like if you went to Oscar Smith, you might be born and bred 757, but that's also a lot of transient people. So tell us about yourself, Coach.
well, I'm born and raised in Chesapeake, Virginia, in South Norfolk. Basically, we started the organization out of me and my partner, Coach William Blow, started the organization. We officially started in 2013. We were previously with another organization, and we had been working with kids the entire time. I was already training a lot of kids during that time, especially a lot of kids who were especially, of course, the Oscar Smith district, and we just felt that we could do a better job at building up the youth in our community by starting the Colts, and that's something that we just jumped right into it head first, and here we are today. But as time goes on, your goals and everything changes, and then you just keep on building it and want to do better and better each and every year. So I think that's pretty much sums up where it all generated from, pretty much.
All right. What year was that, Coach, that you started the organization?
That was officially 2013.
Okay. So 9 years. All right, coming up on a decade.
Hey, Coach, I'll let you go, but I just have a question. When you started the organization, did you actually have a child in the organization, or were you already just working in the community?
Well, I was always in the community, but before that, but I did have my middle son Keontae Jenkins. He did play with the extended organization. My oldest son at that time had going on to pretty much going on to high school at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. But me and myself and Coach Flo, we had a following of kids already, and so it was a thing where we just took, we didn't have any funding. We were just getting started, so we basically took our own funds and like I said, jump right into it. I don't think people understand how expensive youth sports are, especially football.
Yep.
And it's crazy because as we were getting into it, the price of helmets were going up each year, because when they started actually doing the CT started to really come around, and the helmet prices doubled.
Yeah.
So I know myself, I spent probably about $20,000 starting getting going myself, and Coach Blow probably he spent a couple thousand himself. But we just didn't want to let kids down, and unfortunately, we started something new, especially in our community, and in the low income communities. The lack of funding is just
right.
a thing you just got to deal with and find ways to make things happen.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're doing a great job, because your program, and it's not only Oscar Smith, but many other high schools. We know that you sent kids to St. Francis, IMG. But you're 10 years younger than us. So my question to you is, how have you seen youth football change? All the way from, ankle biters up to high school. I mean, we're around it a lot, but this is what you do for a living. So how have you seen it change, Coach?
Coach, I know you're going to, let me just say one thing. Is what you're going to say this, the fact that they now have the travel football, would that be it?
That's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it. I was going to start and say that I would prefer it not to be as much travel and more so community based. However, when you have, the leagues, the leagues make it easier to organize, for teams and organizations to organize. However, it makes it more costly. It turns it into a different situation. And it takes away, I feel like it's more so takes away from community where you can develop more kids in the sport. Now it's like you have to, it's almost like, I hate to say it, it's almost like college recruiting now, it's like high school recruiting, you know?
Well, Coach, I was going to say, we got caught with that. I'm up here in Northern Virginia. I coach, and I'm proud of my son's team. I coach. We won the Fairfax County Championship, the APYFL Warriors. But the APYFL Warriors don't exist anymore. And when I coached my son, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, as an organization, we had like 15 teams, and it just kept getting smaller. So less kids were playing youth football, but also because of the travel. So now our organization, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've transitioned to 703 United. I don't know if you guys have played them or not yet, because I think it's only maybe their second or third year in that. Is it AY? What is it, the league that someone, is it AYL?
AYL.
AYL.
Either
So
AYL
anyway,
or UYL.
Yeah.
Right.
So my point is, it's with that, it's become very competitive in terms of, like you said, recruiting. It's like AAU basketball. Like, people are recruiting, and you're getting kids now from your neighborhood. It's not the same. I see why it happens, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same. It's definitely highly competitive. I mean, even down to, I think as even down to like now 6 and 7 year olds, because they're allowing those teams now to come and play for national championships.
Right.
So, and everybody wants to be a winner. Everybody wants to go to Florida, and and everything. And believe it or not, it's not really the organization. It's not necessarily the coaches per se, but it's the parents. The parents, they want their kids on the biggest stage that they can put them on. And the better the kid, the more the parent wants it. For that particular kid. And I often myself, and within my own organization, we have had coaches, and parents who said that I personally pay more attention to, or my organization is more so focused on the 14U team more than the other age groups. And, and I'm like, they don't, because they don't see what happens, what goes on behind the scenes, of course. But at the same time, they have a point, because I have to focus on that group, because that's the group that's about to go to high school. Right. And those, the kids who are 6U up to probably about 8U, you'll have, in the league, you'll have several teams in that age group to play. So when they start to hit 10, 11, 12, it starts to slide off. You start to see the difference in the size, and certain kids find out they ain't got it. Some kids find out they do got it. And then those kids get to 14. I have kids who come out to my tryouts or come out to my practices, see the size of our kids at 14U, and I never Jim again. Because we are a real official travel team. Like, we are equivalent to a Boo Williams AAU team, basketball. My line, except for this past season, my line was small. We still averaged probably about 5'10" across the front, 5'10", 240 pounds across the front. My offensive line. But in previous years, the average was 6'2", 245 pounds. Was my average, across the front. But, speaking of which, I had kids like Cameron Warren, who's at St. Francis right now. I think at that time he was probably, like, his last year he was probably about 6'3", 250 maybe. And Brandon Thomas, who's down at IMG, he's probably his last year he's probably like 6'2", maybe 230. He played DN and offensive tackle for us. we've been privileged to get great kids. You know, we've never been able to get a team that I would say for my 14 years I would say would that would be like a stacked team because everybody's pulling and grabbing at our kids all the time. So you know, we have some kids who are going into high school too early. We have some kids who go play middle school, and because they're not the starter or not getting a lot of playing time on our team, we never they don't come back from middle school. You know, so it's a lot of that. But I would say that half the kids who start out playing football automatically diminish by the time they get to us, and especially half of those kids won't even see the field or touch the field or even try to take the field in high school. So a lot of parents, a lot of parents that are crazy about it at the younger ages, and as time goes on, you know, things separate themselves. And I often tell my younger coaches that you're going to have to re-recruit kids every year because you're going to have kids that fall off when you're raising a team. So I don't raise a team anymore. My last team I raised, I think was ended at 2014. And now I just stay at the 14U level because that has become a thing with us, and I've been successful with I'm going to say pushing kids and helping kids get into position to earn scholarships at an early age and early grade. So it's based, you know, we want to keep that way and keep that thing going at that 14U. I think we're going to start doing that also at 12U. I think we're going to put Coach Blow at our 12U age group because he's more experienced, highly experienced, and motivated type of coach. But it's changed, man. It has changed tremendously. You know, you have a lot of kids getting offers now, as you know, in 7th, 8th grade, across the country, not just with us, but you know, we have we do, like I tell you, during the COVID year, I had a lot of ninth graders on my team during the COVID season because we didn't play here in the regular season, of course. But that year though, I had about 8 kids to earn scholarship offers on my 14U team.
Wow.
You know, and that was the biggest. That's been the number, and I'm trying to hit that number again. It's gonna be hard, but before that, it was only 3 kids on the team. But those are my goals. I personally, I hate to say this, I'm sorry, football fans, but I personally, don't like I like football, but I don't like everything that comes with football. I don't like
coach.
You know, I don't like everything that comes with it. You know, but I don't like all the extra rah and all this stuff. But I love to see kids earn opportunities from the sport. And the only thing I tell kids when they come play for us, especially play for me at 14U level, it's like a 1 and done or 2 and done kid. I'll say, you know, use me as your coach because I'm going to use you as a player. You know, get the most that you can get out of me because you can go play football anywhere. That's right. You know. You know, I tell kids this when they go to the next level, like, you know, look, you can go play football anywhere. Make sure you're playing for somebody who's going to care about you, you know, when it's all said and done, you know, who's going to pick up the phone with you when you no longer do anything for them. They're going to pick the phone up for you if you need help or you need somebody to talk to. Because, you know, in this business, in football, once you get to certain levels, it's strictly business. It's nothing personal.
It's a business.
It's a business.
You don't know who's real and who's fake.
Yep.
It is a business, and you have to take it that way. You can't take it personal.
Yeah. No.
I'll let Kirk talk, but I can speak to that. I'm going through that right now. I know.
And it's been that way a long time, but with social media, mass media, name, image, likeness is much more. But you're like setting us up. Obviously, we have some talking points. So a couple things I wanted to ask you, and a lot of people watching this are going to be in the 757. They're going to be outside the 757. So whenever I meet people from around, you know, the country, they're always like, what the heck is going on down there? Now we're from Hampton and we know a lot, but per capita, the number of players, I mean, what do you think it is, Coach? Because you're in your 40s, we're early 40s, we're in our 50s. And I mean, we've got several Hall of Famers from down there. The SEC started recruiting there a long time ago. It's no longer a regional place. What is it about the area? Obviously, you're playing a big part in it now, but what's the secret sauce? Because that's what everybody wants to know.
I guess it's one of those things like it's not easy living in the 757. You know, it's not a lot of opportunities. There's not a lot of great paying jobs. There's a lot of military. You know,
Right.
that's one thing too. So a lot of military. But when you have situations like that, out of the rough, diamonds come out of the rough. You know,
Yeah.
that's the best way I can put it. You know, diamonds. Of course, they got diamonds they make it in laboratories now, but real diamonds, true diamonds, they come out of the rough. And in any rough situation, you're gonna have football is a tough sport. You're gonna have those tougher kids, but at the same time, you know, I can't necessarily say that a lot of players, because once you compare it to places like Texas, California, Ohio, Georgia, and you look at where the top pro athletes come out of, and where the most pro athletes, most Division I athletes, and all that come out of, Virginia slides down, you know, and the area itself slides down the map. You know, I think it's just that the players who like a Michael Vick. Michael Vick was a household name.
Right.
You know, Bruce Smith, household name. Lawrence Taylor. You know, so I think those names that people forget, that kind of, it's there in the back of your mind, but those players are the ones who really spark it for Virginia, especially Mike Vick sparked it for the Peninsula side and 757 area. And then you had one time where, you know, Hampton had a run one point in time where they had number one, I think, high school team in the country. You know,
96
in their
national
prime,
champions.
and they were pumping them out of there like hot grease, you know, pumping out like fishing hot grease. And then you have had some kids. We've had some kids who had some runs. You know, Percy Harvin was number one player in the country. You know, Josh Sweat, which I tell you, that's one of my kids, and I tell you, he's the best athlete I've ever seen. Athlete I've ever seen, ever, still to this day. Wow. You know, right behind my son Levante Taylor. But he suffered. Josh Sweat suffered a career killing injury. You know, where he dislocated his knee and tore every ligament in that knee, and now he's in the NFL and a Pro Bowler now. Pro Bowler as of yesterday, he's a Pro Bowler. You know?
Yep.
So, you know, so
Coach,
but
I was gonna say, one thing I did want to point out is you're right. You guys have had some ballers over there. You have had. They may not have made as much noise on a national level in college, but Phil Simms, Aaron Sparrow, those guys, Sparrow.
Man, Aaron Sparrow, if he had, I think Aaron Sparrow had the right people in his circle, he would be playing. He would have played pro for a long time. I haven't seen the title Sparrow yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, Aaron Sparrow, he's a beast. But Coach, I'll say this. So I will give you guys credit. What it's turned into, like Kirk is right. We live up here in Northern Virginia. I work in DC, and PG County has a lot of strong athletes coming out of there now. But it's even still, when I tell somebody that, you know, I'm from Hampton, they're like, oh, he's from the 757. But like, and so people know, you know. But I'll say this: back in the day, now you're a little younger, but it was just the Peninsula side that was running football. Y'all had basketball.
You're right.
But I gotta be honest, bro. The last 20 years, y'all side of the water is doing work. You know, but on our side, we had Hampton. I went to Bethel. We won 3 state championships. We had Allen Iverson, and then Phoebus has won, you know, 7 or 8 now.
A lot.
So our side was kind of like, I remember, like, we were never scared of that side of the water. We'd go over and play, you know, Kemp's Field, Norview, but man, I have to give y'all props, man. The football y'all are playing over there is top notch, some of the best in the country. So I know, because I know what you're talking about, it starts with what you're doing in programs like with the Colts, Coach. I know I'm very with. And one thing I did want to touch on that you talked about earlier, because I've been so involved in youth sports, especially football. I will say this: my daughter did travel soccer and all this, and my kids, I coached them in track and basketball. But look, let me tell you something, man. My middle son, who's in 11th grade now, pretty good athlete, getting some recruiting stuff. When I was coaching him, I'm talking like at 4 and 5 years old, an NFL flag and then I-9 flag and all this stuff. I tell people, man, the parents in football are different than any the parents, bro. Now look, I grew up in Hampton.
You need
We
security.
talk smack,
You need security at the
but
game.
dog, let me tell you something. That if you ever watch Friday Night Tights, that's how it really is, bro. Like I'm coaching 5-year-old kids, and somebody, and it's just flag. A kid will get hurt. I seen the mama be like, "Get your up and play." And I'm like,
that's not funny.
Cry. Yeah. And I'm like, that's different than the soccer mom or the tennis or any of that. Like, you gotta be quiet. Yeah. But I'm saying, when I see the mamas going off like, "Don't be no punk," you know, like,
I like those mamas. Those are mamas I like.
Look, my wife is passionate. We were at a basketball game tonight, and I was joking because one of my boys, we ran the defense for our youth team, but his son is a really good basketball and football player. But he's a big kid, 6'2", 6'3", as a freshman, starts at left tackle. And we were talking about, you know, like, now my wife, she's got a PhD, she's a counselor, but when she goes to football games, she is old school like my mama. You can hear my wife screaming, especially when my son makes a big run. Go! And I'm like, you know, I used to say, you know, he can't hear you, but no, you can hear my wife. Out of all the people there, she keeps it clean because she's a Christian, but good gracious, she screams for her baby. And my mom used to do the same, you know. So I love those football moms, but I'm saying, like you're saying, it's a different breed of parents. But the other thing about it is, and this is what you would right on with this, the kid that's a superstar at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, those parents have no idea what it's going to mean. Even in middle school, or even at your 12, 13, 14, it can be a totally different thing. And then especially even the kids, look, that were good at 11, 12, 13, that don't mean that they're going to do it in high school, you know?
It doesn't. It doesn't. If they don't have, like, I have a certain type of way, like, because we'll have like a preferred kid we want to try out for our 14U, and then, you know, we'll have open trials. But if I see if a kid calls me, or if I see a kid and they want to talk to me about, you know, playing for our 14U, I size them up. I'm 5'7", right? So I size them up. I'm like, look, if you're my size, you'd be all right. If you're smaller than me, I need you to come try out, because this is big boy football. You know, you know, and a lot of I'm glad. You know, I was one of the pioneers in getting unlimited weighted football in our area, because we had that scale for forever.
Yeah.
That scale really kept a lot of kids, you know, out of football. Yep. And, you know, and a lot of kids didn't play football until they got to middle school. Yep. Because of that scale. And now that scale is out, I think that also attributes to a lot of kids now who are getting scholarship opportunities now, because now they have more time to prepare for, you know, a high level of play, because now a big kid doesn't have to wait in middle school to play football. He can go and jump on anybody's unlimited team. There's a kid right now who just played on, I want to say 10U last year. I think it was 10U. Was it 10U last year? Yeah, he played on the 10U team last year. He's 5'9", 160 pounds.
Wow.
5'9", 160 pound, 11-year-old. He's bigger than me at 11 years old, you know, but he would have never been able to play back in our day or past times because of the scale, you know. He'd have been a basketball player.
Right. And that's what happened to my friend that was playing with us tonight. So he started, my son was in the 6th grade. He was in the 4th grade. So my son was 12 and he was 9, but he was so big, he had to play with us. And you couldn't, like, I could just tell, like, I was looking we were picking players for our different teams. And I said, let's get that kid. And he was like, but he's nice, soft, he's scared, he never played. I was like, look at his feet. He was also a basketball player. I said, look, this kid, he's nervous, he's scared just because of the kid's ages. But this, of all the people here, this gonna be the one playing on Saturday or Sunday. I guarantee. And look, here it is, 6 years later, this kid starts at left tackle on varsity as a 9th grader, again, 6'3", 250. And he's I went to his basketball game tonight, you know. But I want to say this, I want to ask you something about that, because, you know, Nathaniel, that's Nathaniel Wright, for those, I'm giving his props. Nathaniel Wright, he started playing in the 3rd grade, but I didn't start my son until he was 12 years old in the 6th grade. I coached him since he was 4 and 5. He played a lot of flag. And I don't know necessarily, I know you have an organization that starts playing, but what are your thoughts about when kids should start tackle football?
Okay.
And I'm not. I know you
a great
have an
question.
organization, but I can tell you, I have an opinion. But there are a lot of different schools of
Yeah.
thoughts out there. So
That's a great question, and so I take it. People talk about injuries all the time and stuff like that. It's a major talk, and I've seen they have something called super tiny might where 4 and 5-year-olds play football, tackle football with equipment
yeah,
on, and I've never seen any of those kids ever get hurt. I've never seen any head-to-head contact in it. They bump into each other. It's like bumper cars. They bump into each other. They just fall down.
Right.
Yeah.
But you will have this one, like we had it was one kid one year. We had a kid named Kendrick who was big and he would run through some kids, but they would bump off him and hit the ground. It wasn't like major contact, like you cracking and crunching out there. So I think that that kids should start as early as possible, because the biggest issue on the field is improper technique.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, because anything else is gonna be a freak accident. But improper technique and just the fear of having that equipment on causes hesitation, which then going to cause injury. Somebody run. If you stop running that's why we say always run your feet. If I'm going to hit you and you stop running your feet, I'm going to blow through you. You're probably going to you increase the percentage of injury. I forgot the proper term for that, but you increase the term injury. So for me, I don't see a problem with kids starting at 4 and 5 years old, because I've seen it and I've actually watched it, and it's really fun to watch. I wish I could coach a 4 and 5-year-old team. It's fun, but like I said, the most you see is kids bumping into each other, and maybe one kid starts crying because he don't want to go in or something, But for the most part, I think that the sooner the kid can get into that equipment, the better, because they get used to it, they get comfortable in it, and they start learning proper technique. And which is another issue. Is like you have to make sure that your kid is with a coach who's teaching proper technique.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because if for years, even when I played, we were taught to lead with the head, instead of the shoulder. I myself, I have drills where we tackle the
you guys do
blocking.
do you guys do USA football, like the Seahawk tackling? Do you guys do that?
Yeah, so we do what we call the hawk tackling. So we have a drag the tackling bag, and they have to run and roll tackle it. My smaller guys and my DBs have to. That's an everyday drill. My linebackers, my linemen have to do it too at a shorter range. But my linebackers and my strong safety or my rovers, they have to tackle the bruiser. They have to tackle the bruiser and drive for 5. Just because they're going to be in the more so in the box tackling. In the alley tackling. But I don't want any of my smaller guys coming up and try to knock somebody out. I want them to come and make a sure hawk and roll tackle.
Yep. Hawk and roll. Yep. Hawk and roll. That's right.
Yeah, because but you have coaches out here who unfortunately they don't really know, or they get caught up in all the rah parts of it, and they don't do the the technical parts. And I think that's what gives youth football and football in general a bad rap.
Or they go back to what they learned and how their coached them in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, early 90s, I see that.
We've got new coaches in our organization that me and Coach Flo, myself, have stopped their practices because they were doing the thing where the kids run around and they hit each other. Like, nah, bro. That's not even realistic. You have to put it on the angle. We want to teach kids to tackle and to aim on angles, so. And the coach couldn't wonder why he couldn't get his kids tackling the game, because you using them as veteran rounds in practice. So once we taught him about angles and drag, and hawk tackling, those kids, he started winning games off of defense. Kids started making proper tackles. Right. Football is not, you can't make it rocket science because it's simple. You block, you tackle. I don't care who you got at running back. Norv Turner proved that with Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith wasn't the greatest athlete. Smart runner. He knew how to shift his shoulders and things. Smart runner. But Nate Newton, he wouldn't have got Nate Newton, all those big, aggressive, big linemen, and basically said if we get to push, we're gonna run. We could run. We get to push and we block up front. We can put anybody in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? So
yep,
I hope
that's right. You're right.
Gave those guys a whole lot of props, because I don't think he would have done it otherwise without that.
Bro, you like me. I felt like me and Emmett about the same size. I felt like I could have I might not have been the all-time leading rusher, but I'd have been in the top 10 behind that line.
Behind that line, because at that time, that line was new. That was something new. You didn't have 320, 30-pound guys that could run 5 flats.
That was that athletic. That's right.
Yeah, the athletic, and then after that, that's why we see what we see now. That's why you have a lot of college coaches. They won't take a kid. A kid can be a dog, on the O line, but they won't take him if he's 6'1". No, we don't want him. We want 6 foot. We want 6'3" or bigger. That can move. That's what we want. Deep for Power 5 D1 coaches. That's what they want. And I don't blame them because I'm the same way with my 14U. I want big and athletic linemen. Because I'm gonna go play against the OC and OG Ducks from California, and they average 6'2", 250 across the front. I got to be able to match that.
Coach, Kirk, I'm gonna let you go. Do you guys play the playmakers? They're from my neighborhood, PME. From Woodbridge.
We do. They don't do 14U, but some of our younger teams have played PME. They do a great job. PME does a great job. They have a great organization. Yeah. Man, I like them. It's not many organizations that I can say that I like. I won't say which ones I don't like. I will mention the ones I do like.
and that's when Nathaniel had to go. After this organization, we were weighted, and Nathaniel couldn't play. But 1 year with us, he played for PME up until he was 12 or 13. So I thought you guys played them. In fact, when I was talking to Darren, he was like, "Yeah," he said, "Oh yeah, we played them Colts." I think back then, this is when the thing was maybe 10 or 11. And he said, "Y'all had some ballers."
Yeah. We keep some ballers.
So, Coach, I want to segue into something that everybody's into with mass media, social media, is recruiting, and what role you're playing. I talked to some people. I know you just went to Blacksburg. You got a meeting with the whole coaching staff, and talk to me about recruiting down there. What you see, who you're working with. Who meets with you, because you talked a little bit about this is very similar. Football's getting similar to AAU. And,
right.
The thing is that, someone running a youth organization back when we played, you never hear of that, but you're meeting with Coach Pry, his whole staff. They just hired the gentleman from Indian River for high school relations.
Coach Furby. Yeah.
Right.
Coach
So,
Furby.
Tell us about, not only the regional schools, Tech, UVA, ODU, JMU, Richmond, but North Carolina, Maryland, but the national schools. Dabo Sweeney, Clemson signed a kid. What's that like? What's your relationship? How do you get involved with, Oscar Smith's coach, the various coaches around there?
Yeah. So I try to stay independent away from high school coaches, as far as I don't want to. I have relationships with them, but the relationships I have with high school coaches in the area is I kind of keep them close but distant at the same time, because I have kids going to several different schools. I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to automatically send a kid to their school just because we had I've had some bad things said about me just because they felt like I should have told certain kids to come to their high school. I just want to make that clear. I don't care what high school any of my kids go to, because I feel like my program has prepared them for whatever high school that they go to, and the track record shows that. But but recruiting, I kind of got into it back several years ago, where it started with the Coleman's, J.C. Coleman's family. When they were getting a lot of kids up to Virginia Tech a lot, and I started with Eric Coleman. He showed me some things, and I kind of took from what he showed me, and I had built a strong relationship back then with Virginia Tech, with Coach Downey was there, Coach Downey and Cornell Brown, and that crew, the Beamer era, and then once I started to realize, I can't send all these kids to Virginia Tech. I gotta, you can. But Virginia Tech wasn't going to offer all the kids either, so I had to find other opportunities and things for the kids. So I started to, take kids on different camps and stuff. I started, it was made easy for me because I had Josh Sweat, who was #1 player in the country. Wow. Just by I didn't like I said, I didn't know what I was doing, but I know how to get this kid seen, because Josh did not play varsity as a freshman. He didn't play varsity as a sophomore. He was moved up, but Rich Morgan is a different type of guy. If you don't do it the way he says you do, he's gonna pull you. So but that that off season of Josh's sophomore year, um, you know, we got to work. We got, you know, I was already training them and stuff, and I got him on the road. I took him to the Spark Combine down in Charlotte. Actually, I took a van full of kids. I probably had about 25 kids and 15 passengers. You know, and I took them down. You know, I took them down to Charlotte for I had Jaquan Yulee, God rest his soul, was in that van as well. I took that group down to Charlotte, and Josh performed very well. Another kid, Kevon Bruton, performed very well, but that was the first time that group of kids had done anything outside of the state, in a sense, you know. And that got Josh invited to the Nike Combine, which he wouldn't kill that. He dominated the Damon Prince, I think was his name, was a 5-star offensive tackle. And then that week alone, after those videos came out on YouTube from the Nike training camp, Josh had he got 12 offers that week.
Wow.
You know, and so that made me feel like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I just got to get these kids to be seen and they can get these opportunities? You know, I just got to get them seen. And that transformed into actually having relationships with different coaches, because once Josh became the #1 player once they gave him 4 stars, originally gave him 4 stars, my phone started blowing up immediately. Yeah. You know, and then once he got to that 5-star, once he got crowned as a 5-star, my phone never stopped ringing. You know, and so those relationships, I started to build relationships with those coaches, even though now I say only probably about 10% of those coaches are still at the same job, which that's a whole other story too.
Coach, let me ask you something. We a lot of times we do talk about the 4, the 3, 4, and 5 stars, but tell me a little bit about tell us about some of the kids that aren't getting those recognitions of any stars. And then tell me about your thoughts on the transfer portal and the impact that's having on a lot of high school recruits. And again, I say this because I have an 11th grade son who plays in the WCAC up here at Bishop Ireton. You know, he's a good high school player. He's been on visits to Penn State, Carolina, and stuff. But it's hard, man. We're noticing, I mean, and we had a senior this year, total beast. This kid, I mean, one of the best high school receivers I ever seen, good grades, everything. And he just signed the day with Wayne and Mary. Like, I would have thought this kid, you know, now this was his first year at the private school, but I still was like, man, I mean, it's just tough, you know? What are your thoughts on the transfer portal, and then how do you work with those kids that have no stars? Because I know you're probably also getting kids into Virginia State, Hampton, ODU. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so those are the kids that really you have to work the hardest for. Right. And those kids, you know, unfortunately, those kids are the kids who most people that you see, I'll say who get paid to coach. I'm trying to talk around some things. Who get paid to coach? You see them in the pictures with the big time kids. But they don't put in the work for the other kids. They really don't put in work for those big time kids either. In most cases, those kids, you know, have other people working for them. But so it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work and time in the recruiting thing to find opportunities, and also, you know, to get the parents to do their part. You know, it's a collective situation where parents have to do their part, and the kids got to do their part. And, you know, coaches at the high schools have to do their part, and everybody at Kids Circle has to do their part. And, you know, and most times you'll find that when a kid who's an offerable kid, no matter what level of play, whether it's NIA, Division III, Division II, when you find a kid who's lacking in, you know, in opportunities, one of those pieces, whether it's the circle, the high school coach, the parent, or the kid, have failed somewhere. And you know, in most cases, I find that I'll say in even cases, I'll say 25% of the time the kid doesn't have grades, you know, 25% of the time. Then, you know, then of course the biggest issue is measurables. Like we just talked about, like measurables play a key component, you know, in all of recruiting. Measurables, you just have to have them. And then, you know, some kids don't have the game film. And then, you know, some kids just don't have the parental support where they didn't do all the you know, the pre-required things. And at the same time, you do have high school coaches who will tell kids, don't tell parents when they're recruiting a kid or something. I shouldn't say recruiting, when they're talking to a kid, you know, they'll tell them, you know, tell the parent, don't worry about it. You know, we got them. And then when it gets down to it, it's like, you know, the parent didn't do something, and so the coach said, "Well, you didn't do this." But I didn't do it, coach, because you said you got him. I thought you had it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that
Another
happens.
A lot of parents also think their kids are better than they are.
What they are. That's a huge. That's a big issue. That's a huge issue as well, and you know, it's hard. That's one reason why I don't get all the kids that I would like to have to my 14U team, because I'm a realist. You know, I tell parents all the time, he's good, but you need to work on this. He needs to work on this. You know, and so sometimes parents don't, and the kid too aren't used to hearing the creative criticism, so they go elsewhere or whatever. But I think for me, that's important for me to be straightforward and honest with a kid, and not just tell them the greatest thing since sliced bread, because we got to get 1% better every day.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. You just can't settle for now or for less. You got to get, we got to keep building and keep growing, which is something that even with myself, I feel like every time I learn something or read something, there's been times where things I didn't know back when we first started, because I had a group of kids, like I said, I practically raised those boys in my house. They were at my house every day, and every year I learned something new, or I come across something that I didn't know back then, and I often find myself apologizing to those kids in a sense, because man, if I'd have known this, I could have got this kid this, or that kid that, or that kid could have went further. Even though I'll say I had about 10 kids go to college off of that last team, 2013, 2014 team. About 10 of them went to college. I think 8 of them went, 6 of them D1, D1. But it's still, it's like I said, we have to get better as people. Like, even myself as a community guy, I don't get paid to help kids out, but I feel like I have to get better with it each and every day. Like, I feel coaches need to go to clinics and stuff and get better. I myself go to clinics. I wasn't just at that, but back in the middle of January, myself and 3 of the 4 other coaches from my staff, my 14U staff, we went out to the American Football Coaches Association conference.
Yep.
Like because I want my coaches to get better. I go to network. I want my coaches to go and sit in on the clinics, and all this stuff, because I don't do as much coaching as I used to. I just step in as needed, but I want my coaches to get better as coaches. I want them to, and I don't want them to think, I don't want them to feel like I want them to know that they don't have to be 14U coaches the rest of their time. I want to get to high school. I want you to get to a college job. I have a kid right now who's actually at a JUCO up in New York, Bonaparte, Dermel Bonaparte, who played at Oscar Smith. He's now coaching he's a defensive line coach at the JUCO up in New York. I can't think of the name of it, but I'm about to send some kids there to him that I need to send. So things like that. I have another coach who's actually now the what do they call it? The
quality control.
I don't want to call him a videographer. He's now a videographer.
Video coordinator. That's a good way to get in. Yeah, that's what I still call it.
He's at Sacred Heart University, So I'm always trying to find not just opportunities for the kids who are here now, but opportunities for people who've been around and who support it and things of that nature as well, So it's like I said, we got to get better and help each other out each and every day. But but yeah, so like the nature of the whole of the recruiting process is crazy. The transfer portal is I won't say that the transfer portal is taking away opportunities. I'll say that the transfer portal just made it more evident that you have to minimize as much error as possible in order to get the opportunity, because the opportunities don't necessarily go anywhere. They're still there. You got to seize them as you can. But like I said, a lot of kids knock themselves off the chopping block that freshman year, grade wise. That's that freshman year is always
never catch up.
A killer.
Yeah.
And,
so I wanted to segue into a couple things, but Rusty, why don't you tell everybody watching us, our viewers, where they can find us on social media?
Oh yeah, definitely. So a lot of people watch us, but we started out saying we were just going to be audio and be a podcast, and you can still listen to us on Spotify, Google Music,
Amazon, and
Apple. Amazon and Apple. And then one of our biggest platforms now has become this video, and so we have the YouTube channel, the Kirk and Bird Show, and you can follow us on Twitter, and we have a Facebook page, the Kirk Bird Show. So definitely we want you to follow us. Look, Coach Red has been amazing in terms of the knowledge he's kicking and keeping it real. So we want you guys to watch this, but share it with a lot of other youth coaches that where if you're in the 804, the 703, like this is how it really gets done. And so listen to what he has to say, and because he's kicking knowledge. Yep.
Yeah, Coach, because you're given opportunities. I mean, the percentage of high school players that go to college is minimal.
Very minimal.
The college players that go to the pros is very minimal. And guys that make it to the pros, NFL stands for not for long. So I wanted
it's hard to stay there.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what are you doing in the community outside of football, education, philanthropy? We grew up in the 757. That's a working class community down there. Just like everywhere else, there's people that have a lot of money, but it's a blue collar place, salt of the earth people. What are some of the things you're doing in the community to help kids, get that education, whether it be NAIA, Division II, Division III, JUCO, and prepare them to go on in life to possibly coach? There's all kinds of other positions in football besides playing. Morocco Brown from Kickitan is interviewing for GM jobs. Gerard Mayo is in the hunt for a head job, and education plays a big part of that. What are some of the things you're doing in the community throughout Hampton Roads?
So basically, sometimes there are kids who for example, there's a kid, Antonio Rodden, who I could have helped. I had got him a D2 offer, but this was a kid who I was picking up to take to school every other day because he was missing the bus. So what I did was I asked him about the military, I asked him about different things, and so we came down to it where the Merchant Marine. So I got him.
Merchant Marine Academy.
Because I'm just like, listen, the whole point is to get to a bag. You can get to a bag right now and retire before you hit my age if you get in now. So you have an 18, 19-year-old kid getting the Merchant Marine. Like when he hits 40. He's going to be straight. And then what I do is I have something now where I'm actually kids like that. I'm putting them as authorized users on my credit accounts so that when they get ready to make investments, and I'm preaching to them real estate investments, their credit will be there so that when they go to the bank and ask for money or go to a lender and, it's going to be given to them. And, things like that. Letting kids know that there's more, you can make money. You don't have to go to NFL to make money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's hard for some kids to even fathom that, but but you have to show them. I myself, I'm getting into real estate and investments and things of that nature. So like I said, as I learn better and to do better, I teach it to the kids as well. So actually I'm working on starting a school actually, and it's going to be a private. I don't know if it's going to be charter yet. Charter. It's going to be independent, but it's going to be a middle school where we're going to have grades 6 through 8. It's going to be the curriculum is already set up online and everything, but also we're going to have it whereas a kid's elective is going to be whatever it is they want to go to college for. So if a kid wants to be an engineer, we're going to have that course is already set on a program called Power School, where they have a college level engineering, engineering 101 or whatever they call it, is going to be there for that kid. But also we're going to have somebody who have engineers to actually come in and mentor those kids as well, in that field. You have to have that. A big thing that's going to be, something another 5-10 years going to hit now, but it's going to be hitting harder is cryptocurrency and NFTs and all that stuff. So I have kids that I want to teach coding and all that stuff. We're going to have all that at school. So I'm trying to create other opportunities for kids so that they can come back and, you have to build I'm trying to build an infrastructure basically. Internal infrastructure, so that, at some point in time, of course I'll be older than, but if we have a kid or a parent or someone who's close to me and they need a doctor, call such and such. He that we got a doctor that came through the program. We got a lawyer that came through the program. We have a banker that came through the program. We have a real estate investor. We have, all of that stuff, and and I feel like if you do that, you can keep things flowing in a better way, and you know, each person can you can go to these people, and their firms and their businesses can thrive, and they can give back to the community that gave to them.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep. I'm big into that. Yep.
Yeah.
And
You know, another thing, Coach, is that you know, financial literacy.
oh, definitely.
When you grow up underprivileged, one parent family, you don't see a mortgage being paid. You don't know about credit, you know, some of the simple things. And the kids see the shiny glamour of pro football, entertainers, and they don't know that what the average income is in the United States. And if they can make a couple of $100,000 a year in most parts of the United States, they're going to live extremely well. And
Very
there's
well.
lots of different ways to do that, and educating them and preparing them for that in all the different opportunities, because, you know, single parent households that are often undereducated, underprivileged, these kids are not learning, they're not pushed necessarily to go to college. The expectation for them is not there to get the degree. And the fact that you're talking about tracks like engineering, business, you know, investing, crypto, those are all opportunities that, you know, are going to make them more money than sports.
I would say that
my daughter's a 17-year-old junior at Oscar Smith. But I have her, she's already interning at at my guy, Frankie Knox. He has a business called Head Start Business Solutions, where he does, you know, he's in what do you call it? He does taxes and stuff. And he also does, sets up companies for people and all that stuff. I'm one of his clients myself, but my daughter I have her going after school. She comes home for about an hour and a half, and then she's over working for him in his office, because I want her to, I can't teach her what he knows, you know, and you learn better when you're submerged in it, you know. So he's done a phenomenal job with her, and it's just amazing, you know, some of the things she comes home and she's telling me that she's learning, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? Let me write that down, you know. You know, about tax laws and all that stuff. So yeah, we definitely gotta get these kids financially, you know, and understanding that, you know, there's money out there to be made legally, and you don't have to be a rapper or a football player to get it.
Yeah, you both touched on what my experience was. Now, my job now, I'm a senior budget analyst in the federal government, and so I deal with a lot of money. But I also teach some federal budgeting classes and do presentations on it. But one of the things I say when I'm doing this is the best budget analyst or person that taught me budgeting was my mom. My mom was a single mom in the 757. Now, she went to college, but she was a PE major. So my mom was a PE teacher, but she was the best budgeted person I knew, because you know what my mom did? She just taught me basic principles, and I just taught everybody that. She was like, if you get it, this is what she made me do. I was 15 years old. I got a Sears credit card. All right, over at Newmarket Mall. You know, they like, you fill out the application, and then I got like a free like pitcher or something, you know, some free utensils. And my mom said, get the credit card, okay, use it, and then pay your bill off. She said, you just established credit. And then my mom told me, it's nothing wrong with a credit card, but just pay it off every month. And I learned that, man, when I went to college and I was a business major, and then that's when the Discover card came out, and they had these rewards. And my point is, like, I just used basic principles. My mom was like, buy a house. But you know what? My mom said, you don't have to wait to 30 years to pay the house off, baby. My mom was like, put some money towards the principal. You know, like, and I'm like, she's teaching me this stuff. And so I'm saying, like, and my mom never had any of that formal training, but those are basic things. And that's one of the things that I have a frat brother. We're actually developing a curriculum through my ministry, Team Jesus, where we want to work through churches and teach our youth about it. And we're trying to write a book, and we're just gonna call it Basic Budgeting, like stuff that people don't know, but like like people spending more. Like the thing is, the society is set up to fool you and take your money. You're sitting. I get more junk mail for all these credit cards, or get this money or this. And people don't understand interest. And I'm talking about, it's nothing wrong with borrowing money, but have a plan. You don't have to wait full year, pay it off. But so anyway, my point, Coach, is this. Absolutely right. That's the type of thing. And if we can teach that to our youth, then we're going to have a whole, because the things people value, unfortunately, in our community, stuff like clothes and chains and all that, it's nothing wrong with it. But let me tell you something. I didn't get Nikes when I was a kid. Now, Kirk probably was balling with some Nikes. And you know what? I didn't get my first Nikes until I think like 9th grade. But the thing is, like, even when I, even with a college degree and a good job in the government and doing stuff, I still was always kind of tight with my money, and I saved my money. Man, when I was in college, I saved my money. I had a job taking out trash for 4 years in the dorm. And I only had one loan in college, was for $1,000. And I had always put a little money aside. I was only making $20 a week. And on the day before I graduated, I walked over to the loan office. I said, don't I have a loan here? The lady said, yeah, $1,000. She said, but you don't have to pay it for 6 months. I said, nope, I'm write a check right now. Boom, I'm done. I don't owe anybody for my college. And the thing is, if we get our kids to understand that early and develop those habits, but you know what now? I mean, I'm 50-some years old. I got 30 years in the government. Doing all right. I got 2 houses paid for, nice cars. And now, guess what? I get Nikes anytime I want, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can do the thing. I got 2 condos in Myrtle Beach. Why? Because you know what? When you were buying these clothes or you were doing some of these other things, you were living fine in your 20s and 30s, but now I'm in my 50s and I'm doing all right. So if we can teach that to them early and young. So I commend you for that, bro. And I hope the people out there listening, because the coach didn't just talk about the kids in the league. He's talking about the kids that their uncle make it. But because look, at some point we all got to stop playing football. My brother played, he was all-state linebacker. He played at Virginia Tech, all Big East, led Virginia Tech in the Tech, played Canadian League football. But you know what? My brother also in the offseason got his master's. You know what? He got his PhD, and now he's a professor at Norfolk State. And at some point, it's got to end for all of us. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, you're preparing them, man. So I commend you, bro. You're blessing a lot of people. And I do want to put in a plug. Coach, I don't know if you've heard about him yet, but my nephew is Blake Bird. He's a 7th grader. He's going to be the best quarterback, all right? In the 757. He's zoned for Maury. All right. Now my niece, she's one of the top tennis players in the country, and she just signed with ODU, and she's a senior at Maury. But Blake is a 7th grader, and my brother held him out of playing tackle football. He played a lot of basketball, soccer, and baseball. Really good baseball player. That's probably what he does. But you want a quarterback. He said somebody from the coast has already been recruiting, but now he's 12 years old. So, Coach, you want to look at him, because I'm telling you, the boy can ball. He's a quarterback. He's going to be all right. His dad played college football, and his mom is played volleyball at Virginia Tech, and the kids are athletic. So look out for Blake Bird.
I don't forget names now.
All right.
All right. So, Coach, we want to wind down and promote you. So folks can find you on Facebook. We're going to overlay this for you. 757 Colts organization, 3 separate, not the same. Instagram, you've got 757 Colts Nation. You got another Instagram that's Colt Boys with a Z, 14U. Everybody that knows Instagram with like the kids, it's all one string. Twitter, you've got a couple. You've got at Colt Boys 14U, as well as at 757 Colts Nation. We'll overlay all that. Want to commend you for what you're doing, because a lot of kids get used there's a lot of money out there. This is a big business. Kids are on TV, they're selling beer, they're selling pizza, they're selling cars. And then at the end, they have nothing to show for it. No education. Right. And the fact that, everybody needs the chance to succeed. You're talking financial literacy, some of the tracks that you're talking about. And by the way, a lot of times when these kids make it and they make a lot of money, they're going to find out real fast that money does not make you happy. There's other things in life that are more important. So we want to commend you. We know you're working for the kids down there, and We were at the state championship. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead. I just want. I know we're about to wrap up, but I do want to get Coach Red to answer two personal questions. If you've seen the show, we like to wrap up and find out some interesting fact about you. So they don't need to hear our answers. They've heard ours, but I do want you. Two things I want to know, Coach. What's your favorite movie of all time, or what do you like to watch on streaming like Netflix or just on regular TV? And then I want to know who is in your phone. Who can you text that we might have heard of, and they'll text you right back.
We reserve the right to make fun of you also, because we're your friends. All right.
So my favorite, I got like maybe 3 favorite movies. One of them was The Water Boy.
All right.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Fifth Element.
Okay, that's good.
And what's my third favorite movie? I can't think of the third one, but those two definitely, I could watch those over and over, those 2 movies over and over again.
I'm Remember the Titans and Hoop Dreams.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
Remember the Titans, Goodfellas, Friday, Days of Confused. Yeah.
All right, Coach. Coach, you pull out your phone. You trying to impress me. Who you about to text? Who you about to FaceTime?
Well, he might not come on the FaceTime, but he'll respond to a text. But that's Deion Sanders.
Woo!
Wow. Okay. I guess you won. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm good. You got us.
How about Dabo Swinney or Nick Saban?
Oh man.
Will they hit you back?
You say what now?
Will they hit you back if you text them? I would.
It depends on the time of year and what recruit I got.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah. I can text Kirk and he hit me back. So that's about as good as I got for you. And now I'm gonna get your number, Coach, and I'm gonna be able to text you. And then one day as you continue to grow and when you're on ESPN and somebody asks you this question, you can say, "Oh, I can text Rusty Bird and he hit me back."
For sure.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, thanks. You've been a blessing,
Yeah.
man. We're gonna have to. Hey, if you're for real, I'm gonna give you my number. Like, if you all are in this area, like I'm big into youth football, and I love to support people doing great things. When we were at the state championship, we gave out some of our Kirkenberg show shirts to some of your athletes and the 757
Yeah,
coach.
that's right.
So yeah,
It was the 14th.
let us.
Your organization, kids are coming down.
So you saw Kevon King run for 290 yards.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
That's one of my kids too.
Did he commit to Norfolk State today?
Norfolk State, yep.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yep,
Good.
Norfolk State.
That's great, man.
All right.
Yep. So good stuff, man. So again, you have blessed a lot of people. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And anytime you can, you want to reach out to us, let us know. We'll put you on the show. You got anything you want to promote? Any kids you want to, help out? And look, y'all, he's not just doing football. This organization is doing track. What other sports do you do, Coach? The organization.
We right now. I mean, because to be honest with you, I don't even know how Coach Blow even has time. Coach Blow runs a track program. I don't know how he has time because he also coaches. He's the head coach at Oscar Smith Middle School. He's also the head coach of the wrestling team, and he coaches track also at Oscar Smith Middle School. But he also finds time to coach our track team as well. Him and his wife, Shantanice Blow. So that's my partner. That's my partner, man. He's a hardworking guy, man. God couldn't have blessed me with a better guy to work with and to get things going. And myself, I'm spread thin. I'm football 365, 24/7, 365. I get calls in the middle of the night, from the guys on the West Coast, because they're 3 hours behind. Wow. I'm just like, hey, I'm up, Coach. I can't let it keep us an opportunity. You know what I mean?
That's right.
All right. Well, we look forward to having you back on and you doing bigger and better things. And, if you want to come back on and you're doing a fundraising initiative, I saw where you just gave $5,000 to Oscar Smith and Phoebus for the rings. That's a big thing because I know for a fact the schools down there have struggled with giving those kids rings. Up here, that's not as much as a problem. And that's a big deal for those guys to have that for the rest of their life. So we're going to close out.
I think Jay Golson had to make a donation to y'all. He's on our show sometimes. He was talking trash about the 757 football. And he ended up losing
in
his
those
bet.
groups, yeah.
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 I think Jay had to give a donation to y'all.
All right, Coach. Thank
I gave a
you.
donation too. I reached out through I think that Hampton Roads page. I think I donated. So keep doing it, man.
By the way, is your daughter still driving you?
No, she went up the stairs into the house
Oh,
now.
okay.
She got a Chipotle. She got her
All right.
Chipotle and ran off on me.
All right, Coach. You have a good night. God bless. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right,
man.
Take care.
Kirk and Bird, we are out.